Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome here to the Flatout Racing Network's coverage of race number 3, season 62 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. As we're back here at Talladega Super Speedway, 2 races in the books. They have been thrillers to start out this season, and now we are back here at the high banks of this 2.66-mile super speedway to continue on the road towards the playoffs. 6 regular seasons will remain. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Michael Norman. And Michael, as mentioned, we've had some very interesting storylines to kick off this season. The defending champion wins the season opener. Last week we saw a first-time winner in Chris Emery. So what's the next chapter here in season 62?
I think the next chapter is you stop hogging all the fries. That's the next chapter.
But the Andy Fox Late Model Series fries are so good.
I know. Yes, they are. I miss it. Anyways, so, speaking of what's next on the next chapter, it's the unknown. You don't know it. Talladega are, burnt screwdrivers. It doesn't matter. You position yourself. You can't predict a winner from the start.
Now, 2 races in the books, as I said. We saw last week a lot of drivers get really good runs. Jessica Shelton, Rodney Sellens, Ulysses Sandoval, Randy Waugh, drivers that had not done so well in the season opener. They jumped double-digit spots in the point standings. With only 2 races run, there's very likelihood that a driver gets a top 5 tonight. They could move up quite a bit in the point standings. So if you're a driver that has not started out the season well at either of the first 2 races, do you start to hit the panic button now, or do you think that a consistent run could get you back in contention with 5 races after tonight still left?
A consistent run can get you back in contention. We all know this, Seth, and we've partaken in such what's the word I'm looking for? Situations like this, predicaments like this, and it's all about battling back and a decent finish here. And it's like I've said since the beginning of the season, Seth. Yeah, you do want to go out to the win after the win. As a race car driver, it's your instinct to go out and try to win, but you also got to be smart, play the strategy right to where if you're not in contention to win, you're still finishing in a good spot.
Well, last week we saw Chris Emery pick up his first career win. I called it wrong last week. I said that it was his second win. I went back and looked. There's some kind of a glitch or snafu going on with the RLM points or stats or something. It was his first career win, so congratulations to him on that. And how about here tonight? The random qualifying draw puts his teammate Jerm Lewis on the pole, and Emery will lap to the outside. The 2 Blue Angel cars on the front row here this evening.
Yeah. And we'll see if those Angels can stay up there or not. That's going to be the big question.
Absolutely. Track position, a lot of times people say, is very important, especially having those pit stalls near the exit of pit lane if we end up having green flag pit stops. Grant Wesley, Brian Schilling, a couple of former champions, going to make up row number 2. Doug Kulik and Craig Hagley in row 3. Dante Ricky in the field here tonight, his first start on the season. He'll join Greg Palmer in row 4. Row 5, Chuck McClure coming off a victory on Tuesday night at Kitchen Creek Speedway. He's in the completion of the top 10 with Mike Mangialardi. Bernie Mobbs and John Godfrey, good to see him back in the field here tonight. They were back in row 6. Rodney Sellens and Jeremy Jeffries, one of our former winners on the season, row 7. Row 8 finds Terry Bombard and Glenn Harris. Row 9, Dave Melson, Joe DeSpirito, and Ulysses Sandoval, Milt Surratt will make up the top 20. Tim Nofsker, he's back in row 11 with Jessica Shelton. Row 12, we find Richard Martin and Tom Dixon. Bobby Farrell and Josh Metallic, they're back in row 13. Row 14, Bob Dixon and Mark Paglia. And then the completion of the top 30, Cy Jones and Robert Breedlove making his first start on the season. Back outside the top 30 in row number 16 is Billy Elliser and Wiley Coate. Row 17, Randy Waugh, Bob Seminara. Row 18 will be Graham McDonald and Ron Hagelin. Denny Carroll, Donnie Garrett back in row 19. And completing the 40-car full field tonight will be Brian Rawson and Jeff Crivello. Lot of points on the table here this evening. A good run could put you in good stead to maybe be up above the cut line for a playoff position. A bad run, you might have to use the next race or couple races to get back up into playoff contention. The bracket series starts next week, so drivers will try and find their seeding there with with tonight's race as well. And it's Jerm Lewis trying to make it back-to-back races that a Blue Angels car goes to victory lane. He'll lead us to green here tonight at Talladega.
Boogity, boogity, boogity.
Inside line per usual on starts and restarts here. The preferred lane through 1 and 2. Emery and Wesley get clear off of turn 2 and move up to that middle groove. So Doug Kulik, Dante Ricky, Chuck McClure, they'll all probably try and find their way up to that middle line. But Wesley split the Blue Angels up at least here on the first lap.
Oh, yes, he did.
Off of 4, Wesley was wondering if he might try and shade up to that third lane. Nope, it'll be Brian Schilling that'll jump up there. Craig Hagley's going to join him. Emery sees the run coming, but he won't go up there and block it. Looked like Schilling was to his right rear quarter panel, and Schilling's got a lot of help up there in that third lane.
He's clear enough now that he could slide up there if he really wants to.
It'll be interesting to kind of watch Chris Emery, Jeremy Jeffries, two drivers that with their victories now just have to remain the top 20 in points to lock themselves up into spots into the postseason. How aggressive do they race in these final 6 races of the regular season? It's ooh, Doug Kulik. That was an accordion effect right there.
Shut up.
I thought we were going to have a big wreck there through the middle of 3 and 4 as Emery had to check up. Kulik gave him a bump there in the middle of 3 and 4, and
it's nice to know that I have all the paint schemes now, finally.
Yeah, how does that feel, actually, being able to see all the liveries here tonight?
It's a little different, but, you know, it's not too bad.
I mean, you don't get to see... Oh, we had another car there. Boy, they're making...
Stop that.
These drivers are making me make sounds here, I tell you what. But you won't get to see Ulysses Sandoval in a Burger King car anymore. Oh, we got a caution. Yellow flag's out.
And we got a caution.
And we have a yellow as... Oh, it's a lot of cars here in the grass.
Glenn Harris, Randy Waluigi, Billy Elliser, Tom Dixon involved, Wiley Coate, Tom Dixon.
Dave Melson there getting his car refired.
Brad McDonald, maybe Danny Carroll.
And there you see the pace car that the leader's going to pick up. The rusty little tribute pace car that we'll see here for the remainder of the season.
That was a bump to the 8 car. Somebody bumped the 8 car.
Grant Wesley picking up the yellow. We'll go back and see what happened over there in 1 and 2.
I think it might have been the 931 of Breedlove. Yep, right there. There was almost an accident in front of them, but Breedlove just got into the back, ran directly into the back of him.
And we had a car up and over, I just noticed there as I was rewinding this back.
Let's see, hold on. Does he let off the gas? Oh, he tried to, but it was just too much right there.
Yeah, it was Jeremy Jeffries ahead of Glenn Harris that checked up, and oh, it was Graham McDonald was the one, and Randy
Waluigi.
And then almost a half flip there for Tom Dixon.
I could have very well have taken these guys out early.
It all depends, right? Like we've seen flips where if it's a quick flip, you may not necessarily get
Folds
roof
of Honor
damage.
Quick flip.
A what?
Folds of Honor quick flip.
Oh, I get it.
I'm glad you do.
That took me a while there for a moment, but
really
I got it. I got it. All right, let's look here from another camera angle. Watch the 1 car in the middle line there. Oh, it looked like... That was odd. I don't know if Jeremy got loose or what, but that car wiggled. It lost momentum. You could clearly see that daylight opened up between him and the car in front of him, which I think was Ulysses Sandoval, and that's what checked up the whole middle line there with Glenn Harris, Robert Breedlove, and others. Let's give an aerial shot here. And we're going to see if we can figure out what happened there with Jeremy Jeffries, the Goldfish car in the middle groove. And right there, yeah, something happened. I don't know what it was, but that car slowed. And it led to that checkup there. Well, it's now a question of who's going to be up to speed, who is not. A lot of early contact and damage sustained here, less than 5 laps into tonight's race. Looks like a couple of cars have elected to stay out here under this yellow, including the 4 of Brian Schilling.
Are we gonna put him in a box?
I've lost that reference. What?
No, it was an Isma reference.
Oh, what? Okay, I thought it was, but I wasn't sure how we got to that point. I was trying to figure out the segue.
I just happened to be looking at something, and it just randomly popped into my head.
I mean,
Because
the goldfish car would have made more sense.
It's been 24 years since that movie came out.
Are you? Wait, what?
It came out in
Emperor's
2000.
New Groove came out in 2000?
Yep.
Wow.
So it'll be the 25th anniversary next year.
Holy cow.
Anyways, so we're going to put him in a box.
And then put that box in another box?
Another box. Yep.
What are we going to do with that box?
We're going to ship that box.
To who?
Sorry, to myself.
Oh, okay. What happens when it arrives?
I'm going to open the door and smash it with a hammer. But to save on postage.
But to save on postage, I'll just stay out and lead this race.
Yep.
Appreciate everybody in our chat here tonight.
Hopefully all of you guys got that Emperor's New Groove reference.
If you didn't, you're missing out on maybe one of the best Disney movies of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know it's one of the best Disney movies of all time when 8 people from, what was it, would be like 7 different states meet up to go to a NASCAR race, and they specifically make sure that they all watch Emperor's New Groove together.
Right. Oh, look, JT Mayhew says nobody puts Brian in a box.
I mean, Brian's not a llama, so he's right.
I'm going to poison him with this.
With this. Ragecrafts, good to see you. New to NASCAR Racing 2003 World. Well, welcome. This is...
Welcome to our club. Welcome to our club. Welcome, Squidward. Welcome, Squidward.
Welcome, Ragecrafts. Welcome, Ragecrafts. Boy, that's hard to say fast. Squidward rolls off the tongue so much easier.
By the way, I like how Sandra says no coffee this week. So we can still get to talk about breakfast.
So that's actually Rodney Sullivan's dad. Which, by the way, I would love to know what the fallout was between you and Rodney during this past week when he found out that you said that he liked cantaloupe. Because I went back and kept playing over the reaction that Rodney had when I told him about that. That was great. It's like one of those moments you cannot script. Denny Carroll at chat. I love Lotto Q. Don't think you've ever gotten a top 10 in Lotto.
How did he get back, Crunk?
How did he? Well, you got me.
By all
accounts, doesn't make any sense.
I would not kill you with this.
I love the backstory of that too. For Emperor's New Groove is that they had Pocahontas and I can't remember what the other movie was, and they both flopped at the box office. So they were like, okay, instead of doing just like a dramatic storybook type one or musical, let's do a comedy.
Well, Isma just tossed me this knife, and this guy showed up, and we were over here waiting for you, and waiting for you to pop up, and Kronk.
I still can't get through my head that it was Eartha Kitt that was the voice of Yzma. Like, I don't want to hear Yzma singing Santa Baby in my ear. That's just not a thing that I need.
I never liked your spinach puffs.
Never!
Oh, she's going down.
Well, speaking of going down, we just had Jeremy Jeffries and Brian Schilling going down pit road at this 1 degree segue.
I don't ever want you to make that segue ever again.
Donnie Garrett now going to be the new race leader with Denny Carroll to his outside.
For those of you wondering, this is how we pass the time during cautions when we don't go to a race break.
So, interesting call here. I talked about in the early going, drivers usually want track position because of those pit stalls and everything. Your top 3 are all drivers that started this race outside of the top 30. Wiley Coates started in 32nd, Denny Carroll in 38th, 37th, and Donnie Garrett in 38th. So, they're going to obviously be shorter on fuel, but based on the fact that they were at the tail end pretty much of the whole lead pack at the drop of the green, do you like this call?
You said something?
Yes, I did.
Sorry, that was the portion of the race where I turned my brain off.
Ah.
So say it one more time.
You went to your own personal race break. So the 77, the 41, the 5
Did you
all
say
up
race
here.
break?
Break! The top 3, they all stayed out. They're obviously going to be a little bit shorter on fuel if we go into a long green flag run, but they all started this race outside of the top 30. So do you like this call, gaining this track position for this restart?
Uh, and that's a tough because you want to be on the same strategy as everybody else when it comes to fuel. And I guess these guys are thinking that there's going to be another caution. And yes, it does help on track position because if they do get that caution, so a lot of some people will come in and it'll be the kind of like you're on the same strategy again. But honestly, with it being this early in the race, I don't necessarily think it was a good call.
Relying on a yellow, but I think what you'd probably need 10, 15 lap run for it to
At,
work.
at least, yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
that's
that
and
way it
that's
at least
roughly
will
about
draw everybody else down pit road with you.
how long they have left on their gas, even with this
That's
caution. Would
that's
be
true.
about 10 laps, give or take.
Yep, good point. So Donnie Garrett, Denny Carroll on the front row, Wiley Coate in third. Grant Wesley was the first one to pit lane. He'll restart fourth with Craig Hagley, Greg Palmer the first 3 rows. Green flag out, a little bit of stack up in both lanes there. Trying to get that early momentum going into turn number 1. Garrett not quite going to be able to clear Denny Carroll here. Ooh, Denny goes up the track. Gets back in front of Grant Wesley, and now, with the push from Grant, pulls alongside of Donnie Garrett going into 3. Dead even between those two for the top position. Wiley Coate a little bit up the track there. Hagley has to back out. That might stall out the inside line's momentum off of turn 4. Double
Outside
file.
lane, yep, outside lane again. It's like a 200-mile-an-hour pace lap here
Yep.
again. Grant Wesley pushes Denny Carroll to the lead, and I believe wasn't Denny almost part of that wreck? Yeah, he was kind of slowed down,
Yeah,
unless he missed it.
he missed it, but yeah, he slowed down for it.
Okay,
He was
so
in the vicinity.
He was almost part of the wreck.
Yes.
Now here comes Grant with a good push on the outside. Look at that outside lane.
Surgeon ahead there.
It's
Palmer
almost like
clear.
it's almost like you could see the difference in speed as they went
You
down
can.
the backstretch.
It may not seem like much, but there's about 2 to 3 mile per hour difference from the exit of turn 2 from the middle line to the inside line, and you can visibly translate that to seeing just how much momentum that is. The fact that top 3, Wesley was alongside of Denny Carroll for the lead coming out of turn 2, and then the top 3 in that middle lane were all clear by the time they got to the end of the back straightaway. Wiley Coate having some difficulty holding the bottom back there. Almost up into Rodney Sullins as those two are side by side around the 8th position. A little bit of a fallout from that last wreck. It looks like Robert Breedlove make that the 33 Graham McDonald is off the pace. Obviously aero damage, maybe some engine damage as well. He was one of the 2 cars that flipped over in that wreck. The other car, the 21 of Randy Waugh, is currently in the 27th position in the lead draft.
Hey,
so
you leave me my pause.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Every time you say Randy Waugh, you have to leave me that pause.
I'm contractually obligated.
Yep.
Bernie Mobbs now up into the 4th spot. Good run there for the 31 car. Bernie Mobbs, of course, we talked about this last week. Oh, Dave Melson warping back there. Looks like he's getting up out of the way. But Bernie Mobbs, Grant Wesley coming into tonight's race, co-points leader. Yep, we have a tie for the points lead between both Wesley and Mobbs. They're both up in the top 5 here right now. Not that far behind them, Brian Schilling, 6 points back. Jessica Shelton, 11 points back. Chuck McClure, 12 points back. I mean, they're all right now in playoff positions via points, but they don't want to rely on points. They all want to lock themselves into the playoffs via victory.
Ooh. Seth, do you remember a movie called The Iron Giant?
I do. I only watched it once, but I do remember it.
There is, coming out December 2024, the second Iron Giant movie.
A second one?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's way too far behind when the first one came out.
Yeah, it came out like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh my lord! I clicked on my game and I moved my screen a little bit to more center, and when I let off of it, everybody did the
They
wiggle.
they all disappeared.
No, they didn't disappear. They all just did a wiggle.
Ah. Well, if you were focused on the 038 of Dave Melson, he was wiggling by himself. He's dropped to the back of the pack with connection issues, and I think he's lost the draft. Tom Dixon's in danger of losing the draft. We got a third line forming back here. Josh Metallic, Jessica Shelton up there. Trying to figure out who the car is behind him. I think that's Dante Ricky. Nope, it's Jeremy Jeffries, actually. Brian Schilling up there. They're trying to make something work. Denny Carroll now alongside of Terry Bombard. That middle line has continued to surge forward. Jerem Lewis has moved up. Rodney Sullins, John Godfrey, now Terry Bombard looking to do the same. Yeah, last week, for people that weren't aware, John Godfrey, prior to last week's Tally Challenge race, had a medical emergency, was admitted to the emergency room. That's why we didn't see him take the green flag at Burt Screwdriver's Raceway last Thursday night. And I believe it was this past Tuesday night that he returned back to the racetrack, and good to see him on track here this evening as well. Having a good run right now up inside of the top 10. Denny Carroll finds a way up into that middle line now. We'll tuck in behind the 7-Eleven, who right now is in P7.
In the 77.
It's a lot of sevens.
7-Eleven in the number 7, but driving a 7-Eleven car.
Alongside of the 77.
Single file out here at the front, Seth. We are getting to that point where those cars that stayed out may have to come down pit, or thinking about coming down pit road.
Yep.
They're hoping for another caution. And Seth, I mean, one of the most recent races we've covered was a caution-free race. I mean, obviously that's not going to be the difference in this race because having already had one wreck. But I mean, a lot of these guys tend to save the wrecking towards the very end.
It's kind of interesting you brought that up too, because now it makes sense, because Donnie Garrett, Wiley Coate, they were some of the drivers that stayed out. They had an opportunity to go up to that middle lane as Denny Carroll did, but they're staying on the bottom. Why is that? Well, they know that they're a few laps away from when they're going to have to hit pit road. They want that ease of access to the pit lane entry on that inside line. Denny Carroll, it looks like, has actually jumped back down to the bottom as well. So to your point, these drivers would love to see a yellow flag come out to kind of put them back on the same fuel number as everybody else, but at the same time, they've got to make plans for if we don't have that caution, and they're going to have to make green flag pit stops, which, if I'm not mistaken, will be
in the next 3 laps or so.
And which I believe will be the first green flag pit stops of the season.
Well, Seth, are you sure? Because I thought we've had
Did we have them last week?
I think this season. We had.
I know we didn't have them at the first Dega race 2 weeks ago. Did we have them last week?
I thought we did have them at the first Dega race.
No, we didn't. We got close, but we kept having yellow flags come out like 2 or 3 laps prior to when a fuel window would have been.
I must have been thinking about last season when it comes to the races that went like caution free.
Yeah, we had a lot of fuel strategy races last year. I think we had 1 or 2 caution free races. I think there were like 3 or 4 that only had 1 caution. Yeah, we had a lot of it where pit road was the biggest emphasis.
Here's a fun fact I want to talk about. You remember in the early 2000s that all the race teams were upset at DEI because of how dominant they were on the plate tracks?
Yep.
And they said, don't go with draft with any of the DEI cars, or specifically Dale Jr.
Yep.
I wonder if those guys are thinking about the same thing when it comes to Grant Wesley in this track.
Well, if that's what they're thinking, they're doing a horrible job of it, because right now they're pushing him. He's out in front, and he's led the last 8 laps.
Well, yeah, but I mean, once he's there, it's a little hard to get past him. You know, not everyone's going to jump out of line with you just to pass somebody.
Well, that's true.
So, you know, it's all about trying to keep him from the lead, but I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Seth, we should be about a lap or so away from these cars coming down pit road. They are catching a lap car already, though.
Yeah, at least 3 drivers going to have to be making the pit stop here within the next lap or 2, that being Denny Carroll, Donnie Garrett, Wiley Coate, who did not pit under our only caution at this point. The other drivers, they'll probably have to pit in the next 3 or 4 laps, I'd say. And that's Graham McDonald going a lap down there, the Samuel Adams car,
now,
who's got that damage.
Is that a good enough gap, you think? between pit strategies is 3 or 4 laps?
Um,
Because these cars come down now. They might get lapped. I'm not sure. They might not. But then these cars, the rest of the cars will have to come back down pit road for their pit stops. So
I'm trying to quickly do the math in my head. I know for the drivers that came down pit road, they're still going to have to make 2 more pit stops after this. I'm trying to figure out real quickly if the drivers that didn't pit, if they're going to have to come down 2 other times or maybe 3.
still don't see any indications, but I guess we'll find out in about a lap or two.
Yeah, we'll drop back here to the 41 of Denny Carroll on that inside line. Garrett and Wiley Coat right there with him because they are certainly going to be the first ones down pit
You know
road.
what's gonna be what might be a hassle? These cars probably will have to come down pit road between either this lap or next lap. Well, what if a caution comes out right before they're trying to come down pit road?
Yeah.
Then what? Because you're gonna have to try to clutch around the track to the open pit road.
Or you could, well, you've got a couple of options. You could pass through pit road, not take service, and then, to your point, clutch around for another lap. Or you could just take service, and I think you get an EOL penalty. Either an EOL penalty or a 30-second penalty. Honestly, if I'm close on fuel, I think I'm taking the EOL or the 30-second penalty. If I know that I'm probably not going to be able to clutch and make it around another lap.
I almost wonder, Seth, could the 77 and others have come down pit road under the first lap of yellow? Or do they stay out completely? Because they should have come down pit road by now, but I guess the caution kind of helped them clutch a little bit.
Scoring is telling me that they did not come down pit road at all. The 41, the 77, and the 5.
But what the scoring, though? That's just computers.
You're right. though, to be fair, I don't trust my own judgment any more than I do the AI's judgment. I think we got some chatter lighting up now. I think some radios are lighting up.
I think so. Let me double check. 111.41 pitting this time.
All right, 41 is one of those drivers that did not pit. The 111 Ron Hagelin towards the back of that lead pack. Here they come. Yeah, all 3 of the drivers that stayed out coming in. Coat,
and
Garrett.
The 5 missed it.
Yeah, he did. Big time. Oh, he's going to hit the inside pit wall there. And we had a stack up at the exit of pit road with Ron Hagelin. Now remember, for all 4 of those drivers there, including Hagelin, they all qualified via the random qualifying draw outside of the top 30, so they would have had to whoa up their cars for early pit stalls.
5's going to get himself disqualified. Driving in reverse, I guess.
And is he gone? Nope, he's still there.
Yeah, he's about to be, though.
Dave Melson there. Yep, he lost the draft because of warp.
There he goes. He was out. They DQ'd the 5 of Wiley Coat, who backed up instead of just trying to limp around. So now he's officially gone.
He probably backed up because he knew he wasn't going to be able to make another lap around. Probably would have run out of fuel.
Well, then he should have just towed himself.
Yeah, probably. Would have been a lengthy tow, obviously, being past his pit stall, but
he'd have still been in the race.
Yeah, wouldn't have been nearly as bad a penalty as running out of fuel or DNFing from the event.
Oh, Lord, these guys just had to go all over as they're passing the 45 car. Maybe they're coming down pit road this time.
Well, they're having to pass the 45 low and then swing around the outside with the 3 cars that just came off of pit lane. So kind of zigzagging down the back straightaway there. And let's see if the leaders are going to come down pit road this time. Nope, looks like they're staying out another lap. I think we went back green on lap 5 or 6. So these drivers should be able to go, if calculations are correct, another 2 to 3 laps. I think Grant Wesley will have to pit in the next 2 laps because he's been out in front for the last 13, obviously using up a lot more fuel, not with the aid of draft.
So I don't know if you've been paying attention to the chat since our last caution, but I want to go ahead and say that Mr. Sullen says, me and Rodney have an ongoing deal about sending each other pictures of meals. I have to send him pictures of Southern gravy and biscuits with cantaloupe, which he absolutely loves, but not cantaloupe.
Ah.
Brian asks, says, you all come up with in the mountains, and we'll all take you to some good breakfast.
Oh, we got a wreck coming to pit road. Sorry to cut you off. Dante, Ricky, Ulysses Sandoval, Milt Surratt.
No, not Ulysses.
And this is not going to bring out a yellow. It's off the racing surface.
Ulysses, no. My boy.
Our favorite no-armed driver.
He wrecked because he had no arms. Brian Lovell asks us, how is it going in the booth, guys? It sounds like you're having a great time.
It's going good. It's always going good. Michael always keeps me entertained.
I do.
When
That's
he's not
why
sleeping.
I'm not sleeping. Okay.
We actually had an ongoing thing,
I took a very long nap today, so
we're going to talk about something. Oh, we got a caution. So we'll get to talk about it, apparently. I don't know what this yellow is for.
I'm looking.
I don't think it was for the pit road entrance incident. No, the pace car is just now coming off of 1 and 2.
Nope, I gotta look at the pace car and see when he first turned his lights on.
Grant Wesley picking up the pace car. These drivers were literally a lap or two away from when they were going to all have to pit.
Okay, pace lights are on. Oh my lord, there was a flip on the backstretch.
Was there?
Yeah, Bob Dixon and the 111 of Ron Hagelin.
Oh boy.
Oh no. Bob Dixon pulled a Michael Waltrip. Bob Dixon got merged slightly too early on the banking of turn 2, and it caused him to get sideways. He overcorrected up into Ron Hagelin and the wall.
Here it is, right here. Oh, there you see it grip. Oh, wow. There's just no reaction time there.
And then Bob just drives away like nothing.
Yeah, he was able to keep going. Hagelin going for a very long spin. Look at those skid marks there. That's about, what, full half of the back straightaway, I think, that he spun for?
Just about. Well, the pit road's open, Seth, and here they all come.
Yep. You know, this is going to help.
Almost all of them.
You know, this is going to help. All those drivers that just came off of pit lane are going to be on the lead lap. Drivers like Ulysses Sandoval, Bernie Mobbs, Dante Ricky, Richard Martin, they'll probably stay out, and they're going to gain a ton of track position with this caution because they were on the lead lap.
Oh, by the way, to continue on, look, JT said, Michael, look at how they massacred my boy. By the way, Mr. Sullen said you should tell Rodney that right before this broadcast, I had a nice big what's this called? A little store-bought little box of cantaloupe, already cut cantaloupe. So
I don't know why.
I'm in the cantaloupe is really good.
You know, whenever we're with our group, if there's something that's kind of been turned into a meme, we never seem to let it go for a long period of time. And now I just want to have, whenever Rodney Sullins wins a race now, I want to say that he's going to get on top of his car and smash a cantaloupe like Ross Chastain does with a watermelon. I feel like that needs to be a thing.
By the way, a friendly reminder from our fellow commentator in the field, Jessica Shelton, said to do not pace the pass car.
Oh, okay. Good advice. Gotta thank our buddy RJ Bishop for that one. So Bernie Mobbs got his service done. Got off of pit lane, stayed on the lead lap at the time that the yellow came out, and it looks like he is going to be the leader when we go back green. Bobby Farrell is scored in second, but I think he may have just hit pit road. Richard Martin stayed out, so now he's up to second place. And I'm trying to see who lucky dogs would have been. I think it was Cy Jones and Donnie Garrett, but a bunch of drivers are also going to be taking the wave around. So I think by the time we go back green, we're going to have 36 of our 40 drivers on the lead lap. Graham McDonald, Ron Hagelin, and Tom Dixon, I think, will be the 3 drivers 1 lap down. And correction on that, because now there's drivers coming down pit lane that I thought would have been in line to take the wave around. They're now going to fall a lap down as well, so it may be more than just the trio I previously mentioned. Rodney's dad likes the idea of smash the cantaloupe.
And a sweet melon needed to sprinkle a little salt on it, makes it sweeter.
Sprinkle salt on a melon?
Never heard about that.
I haven't either. I've just had them. I've had melon straight up, whether it's watermelon, honeydew melon, cantaloupe. I don't even put sugar on it. I'm probably gonna have to try that at some point. I wanna give that a go. So as we're waiting here for the lights to go out atop the rusty little memorial pace car, Michael, you and I had an interesting little conversation before we came on the air here about what it would be if your life was like an anime where you either had your life dubbed over with another language or had subtitles following you wherever you went.
Well, hmm, I don't know. That's a tough question.
I mean, here's a question: would there be a point where you would be so used to the subtitles following you that you would actually ignore them?
Yeah, probably.
Like,
It'd be
like
a little,
it-
it'd,
it's
it'd be a
kind of
little
like
weird to see. It would be a little weird to see, honestly, but I think at some point you would get used to them.
because like I live next to train tracks, and when we first moved here, first couple of nights you'd hear the trains going by, and it would keep you awake and everything. But then eventually your brain adapts to it, and you don't even hear them anymore. So I kind of feel like it'd be the same thing if you had subtitles constantly following you. Your brain's just like, the subtitles are going to be there. It's part of life. Continue on.
Yep.
Now the other thing is, if your life was dubbed, would you actually hear the voice dubbing over your life? Because I feel like that would be annoying.
I'm not sure.
Like, does everybody else hear it and you don't, or do you hear it? JT says
So,
dub as long as the dialogue is a direct translation. Interesting. Shout out to RTG for keeping Air 2003 alive. 40 car fields in 2024 is amazing. Absolutely.
yep.
It's amazing
If it
and
was
nerve
Dragon Ball
wracking to
Z
be a
or
part
Sailor
of.
Moon, then the subs would end up in the battle. Yeah, it probably would. Listen, don't get me started, okay? I've just started watching different animes, and I don't know. I'm a guy that prefers the Japanese language and the English subtitles because I feel like for two reasons. One, because the Japanese voice actors go all out for their roles, and two, because I feel like at some point I can learn Japanese by watching it.
You'll learn enough
Discount
enough Japanese to get by if you ever go to the country, huh?
go to Japan. Ah, senpai, they look at me. What?
Oh, you ate for bus too.
Okay, Jaja, shut up.
The only I will admit I've actually never gotten into anime, but the one thing that I will always have to have subtitles for when I watch it is British TV, because 9 times out of 10 they
Because you don't understand what they're talking about.
either that or they speak so fast. They'll run so many words together in a short period of time that you're not exactly sure
Have you ever
exactly what
watched
they
Doctor
said.
Who?
I have not watched Doctor Who. I can name you
You,
off a lot of different British TV shows that I've watched, but Doctor Who is not one of them.
you should. That one's actually pretty decent. Ooh, excuse me. Let's start just an anime chat.
It's an anime chat. All right. Lights are out. We're getting ready to go back green. Bernie Mobs.
Al.
Richard
So,
Martin.
so Al.
Huh?
Al is he just put in the chat. Mr. Sullivan says he's letting everybody know what his but what it actually is because it's coming up as under the Sandra Sullins.
Yep.
He says my name is Al.
Gotcha. Gotcha, Al. I'll probably
It's
forget that next week, but hopefully not.
it's a great it is a great entertainment. Believe me, it's been taken over. I actually this is probably a newbie saying this, but I've actually watched or am watching the original Japanese version of Yu-Gi-Oh, and that's a completely different show compared to what 4Kids gives us. But anyways, we're back under green and Bernie Mobs.
Burby.
Shut up. Bernie Mobs takes the lead on the outside.
Why am I now hearing the
Shut up.
Barbie? I'm hearing the Barbie World song, but it's Burby World.
Shut up.
Oh no. Now Bernie Mobs, I'll say it correctly for him, to the point. Grant Wesley into second. Chuck McClure to third. Obviously, that second lane gets the momentum, but I think they got a lot of help because that inside line did not get going at the initial start there. There was nearly 2 car lengths between Richard Martin back to Bobby Farrell. They've now gotten themselves bumper to bumper, but little too late as now top 4 look like they may be able to swing around the outside there. Tim Knopfsker in the 088.
JT says all I can think of now is The Rock.
So update on where everybody is positioned at this point in time. With the caution coming out, the lucky dogs, the wave arounds is, man, they're stacking up back here. Ooh, it's a lot of movement. Hang on, we got to focus the camera back here at this double 3 wide formation with Farrell, Breedlove, Shelton, Palmer, Sullins, and Jerm Lewis. I think they're all trying to get around the 92. But right now, we've got 34 drivers on the lead lap. Ron Hagelin, Tom Dixon, Dave Melson, Bob Dixon, Graham McDonald, all 1 lap down. The only driver out of the race at this point is Wiley Coate, who'll finish in 40th place here tonight. So currently, Ron Hagelin, Tom Dixon in the 2 lucky dog positions. If they remain there at the timing of the next yellow, if we see the next yellow, we may end up going green from this point on. And if we do, I believe these drivers will have to make at least 2 more pit stops. I don't think they can make it the rest of the way on 1. There's last week's winner, Chris Emery. He's now up to 6th position. Brian Rawson right behind him there. And the Budweiser machine, Bob Seminara in the 8th position. Then Shelton and our pole sitter, Jerm Lewis, the top 10.
I can actually see the Budweiser. Look at these cars single file out now.
You can see them all.
I can actually see Jess's actual scheme now. She's not just in a random scheme like I saw her before.
How about the sponsor on Robert Breedlove's? I was noticing when I was downloading his car this afternoon that probably that'd be one you'd be very interested in. I know you're a Gordon Ramsay fan.
Oh yeah, the Hell's Kitchen?
Yep. Got some double wide back here.
Hell's Kitchen's a good show, but I've kind of more enjoyed his Kitchen Nightmares, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Have you watched any Next Level Chef?
I haven't, though. That seems like it's a good show. Like my mom watches Top Chef or whatever that's called.
Yep.
With him and the other 2.
Isn't there's something that they're coming out with now? I think it's a continuation. It might be Top Chef where they've got what's her name? Vanderpump is like it's 2 teams and Vanderpump is going up against him. What's her name? Lisa Vanderpump, I think.
I'm not sure.
Some big-name drivers kind of mired back in traffic here. We see Jeremy Jeffries and Brian Schilling here in 17th and 18th. We were focused moments ago on Joe DeSpirito, who was across the line last time in 21st.
The Rock talking to McFoley about Al Snow. Al! And then he also says, it's frozen!
Rodney Sullins has found one of his favorite people to draft with. Greg Palmer. Oh, I think Dave Melson's having some connection gremlins again. Saw Billy Elliser jump up to the 3rd lane. I think the 038 was a little side to side there. Now Joe DeSpirito and Terry Bombard go up to the extreme outside line to try and get around Melson. Oh, Demar with a little side to side right there. Currently just outside of the top 10 in 11th. Is the STP Pontiac. Looks like everybody that's on the lead lap, 34 cars in total, all are up to speed. I believe the only driver right now, well actually maybe a couple of drivers that would be off the pace. Graham McDonald from the first caution, and then I think it's pretty safe to say the 143 of Bob Dixon, the 111 of Ron Hagelin. After the impact they had on the back straightaway for our second yellow flag, you would have to think they'd be off the pace as well. And all 3 of those cars are currently 1 lap down. I say that, though, and Ron Hagelin is still holding on to a lucky dog position. He's the second car 1 lap down. Let's see if we can find him. Is he in this lead pack? Yes, he is. Wow. with the
Yeah.
hit he took head on. Nose first into Bob Dixon. It's amazing that car is still up to speed.
JT Mayhew says, and I quote Chef Ramsay, "This dish has so much salt and pepper, I can hear it rapping. Push it.
Push it real good. do 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 do.
Copyright strike.
If we get copyright struck for that, no, you don't even get copyright struck for acapella covers. So there's no way we're getting a copyright strike for that.
They just happen to be watching this stream for no reason. Hey, that's my song.
Hey, Salt and Pepper, if you're watching,
Peppa.
love and respect. Are we under yellow?
Peppa.
Yes, we are.
Oh my lord, Richard Martin is in the fence.
Bobby Farrell was coming off of pit road there, and I'm wondering if we had something happen with everybody trying to get around him.
Bobby Farrell is wrecked, Milt Surratt, but Richard Martin was in the catch fence, stuck in the catch fence.
Farrell had just made a pit stop, was leaving pit lane when the field barreled around him out of turn 2. There's Milt Surratt and Mark Paglia. Denny Carroll in the 41. Caution out for the third time here tonight. Bernie Mobbs picking up this yellow flag.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, that happened. I see what happened. Richard Martin thought he was clear, tried to move up to the outside. Jeremy Jeffries was there, and Jeremy said, okay, if you're going to keep coming up, then... But Richard Martin had a blowover, and it put the back end of his car in the catch fence.
Here's a look at it. Yeah, Martin thought there was a hole there, and it wasn't. And oh man, back end of the car going up into the catch fence, and the catch fence just grabbed him.
Catch fence says, "This is my car now."
Possession is 9/10 of the law, and I have 9/10 of your race car. A couple of other drivers spinning out, but I don't think they got real excessive damage. Let's go from the helicopter cam here, and I wonder if... is this a case of the 43 looking more in relation of him to the 38? I'm wondering if it's not as much the 43 was trying to come up in front of the 1 more than he was trying to get in line behind the 38 car maybe to get his draft. And Jeremy was doing the same. Let's try and see if we can get one more camera angle here. I don't know if this is going to show it too late or not.
Under him.
So watch this here. When Sullins comes down, I think Martin's trying to move up in line behind the 38. Jeffries is already there. Yeah, that's...
the 8 of Glenn Harris is spun on pit road.
And then there's the contact afterwards. Ooh, Milt Surratt with a pretty good shot into Mark Paglia. Jeremy Jeffries, our winner from the last time we were here at Talladega 2 weeks ago. Denny Carroll. Bobby Farrell had just come off of pit road. He had just made a pit stop, and he gets swept up into this, along with Billy Elliser, Glenn Harris, and Cy Jones. I believe Dave Melson, Ron Hagelin. This is the caution they wanted to see. They'll both get the lucky dogs and be back on the lead lap when we go back green. Most of your leaders came down pit road. Robert Breedlove stays out to lead a lap. Now Dante Ricky, as we've seen the past couple of seasons, he's more on a part-time schedule. Even if he goes to victory lane, unlikely that he's going to make enough starts, garner enough points to get up into the top 20 for a playoff spot. But, you know, in the case of a Robert Breedlove, who missed the first 2 races of the season, what do you think? Do you have to approach these first couple of races as must-win and then focus on trying to get up into the top 20 for a playoff spot? Or do you go for the consistency first and then the win towards the end of the regular season?
Consistency always first, unless you're in a position to win, and then you can go for it.
Okay, so situational.
Pretty much.
Easy for me to say that. Man. My brain was like, you can say the word, and my mouth was like, no, I can't. Thithuethanol.
Thithuethanol.
The catch fence just needed some oil, some STP oil. Does STP oil work on a catch fence? I thought STP was more of a lubricant for engines. I don't know what that's going to do for a catch fence. So Bobby Farrell actually lost 2 laps with his green flag pit stop. That's why even though he's pretty close up here to the front, he would not be in a lucky dog position. He potentially could take a wave around here if the 931 comes to pit lane, but with having a lead lap car in front of him, he would not be eligible at this point. And yeah, I think the lights will go out either this next lap or the lap after. And calculations say, even though most everybody came to pit road, they're still going to be short on fuel. We're probably going to go back green somewhere around 24 laps to go, so that still puts them 4, 5, maybe 6 laps short of getting to the end on what they've got in the tank, even if they got the thing completely full of fuel. So closing in on 20 laps to go here in our 3rd race of the season. There's your lucky dogs coming up on the top side. We're going to step aside for a quick FRN race break. We'll be back here when they get ready to double up and go back to racing here from Talladega Super Speedway. Don't go anywhere. Coverage continues right after this. Pace car makes the left-hand dive to pit road. Grant Wesley will get us back underway here at Talladega Super Speedway. We will have officially 25 laps to go.
Very familiar spot for that number 88. So these cars still have to make at least one more pit stop.
Yep.
And it's going to be within 10 laps to go. Unless they get another caution.
I was going to say, unless we get another yellow in the next, 6 or 7 laps, then everybody will come to pit road because the fuel window will be open to make it the rest of the way.
Yep. Green flag's back out. Here we go.
Got about 3 or 4 cars that jumped immediately up to the outside line there once they crossed the start-finish line. Grant Wesley trying to get himself clear on the 17 of Chuck McClure. Woohoo! Barely. Oh! And there goes McClure into John Godfrey. No caution gonna wave for that one.
Underneath the yellow line.
No yellow flag for the 2-car spin. It's pretty easy to see what happened on that one. When Grant came up the track there, it was definitely close. Chuck McClure checked up for Grant, and Emery was into the back of the 17, spun him around, and Godfrey just an innocent bystander in all of that. But there you see, caution lights remain green as Emery up to the outside line here, and he's going to get shuffled out. Knopfsker into second, Bernie Mobbs into third, and here comes an outside line led by Josh Metallic.
I just figured out something. I just figured out the track we're going to next for our Tuesday night race.
Yep.
And I'm upset about it.
You don't like that track since they called you out?
What happened? Oh yeah.
It's okay. They called me out too.
All right, funny story for those of you who don't know here in FRN. It was me and Tyler Riggs, who I don't ever really see anymore.
He plays a lot of college simulator football game on Steam. I see his name pop up a lot.
Anyways, we were calling an iRacing race for what was then, if it's still called that, I don't know, but Speed 51. And I mean, this was a very big time for us and everything, and it was the kind of like my first actual like professional commentary.
We're talking years ago, folks.
Yeah,
like
years
3 years ago.
And it's I believe it's still called Worldwide Technology Raceway. I think even to this day. But we were calling the race, and I kept calling it Gateway. And there was one point in the race where I said, it doesn't matter what it's called, it's still Gateway to me, in like a joking way. But directly after that broadcast, like executives or something from that either Speed 51 or that specific racetrack messaged Matthew Rodriguez, the FRN's owner, and it was a whole thing. It about got FRN kicked off of Speed 51 right after our debut. So.
And then I think there was a race that was run there and that we broadcasted, and I kept saying Worldwide Technologies, and the PR person ended up messaging Matt. Poor Matt. He ended up getting message saying, "Will you please tell him to stop putting the plural at the end of it? It's Worldwide Technology." Picky.
For real.
But I think NASCAR actually advertises it as Gateway now. I think they don't really say.
JT says yeah, it still has naming rights.
Still has naming rights. Okay, but I'm pretty sure I see like wait, is Grant coming?
It might be
pit
it
road.
It might
he
be
is.
like
88's coming to pit road.
It might be like Worldwide Technology Gateway Speedway or something like that. They might go by both names.
So the 88 is pitting. The fuel window's open, but I think I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I might be wrong, but I think the 88 might be serving a pass-through for the incident that happened on the back straightaway when we went back green on that last restart.
I will look at it.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain.
It's just a pass-through.
Yep. So I think what he's doing is covering his bases just in case that incident would have been put on him. He's serving a pass-through so that there would be no post-race penalty. Now he's got to rely on a yellow flag to get himself back into this. That's a tough break there for the driver that's led the most laps up to this point.
I hope that wasn't going to be called on him. I'm looking at it right now. I mean, he came up. He was
clear on the 17.
He was clear. He came up. The 17 had to back out to avoid running in the back of him, and he ran into the back from somebody else.
Yeah.
By, I believe it was the 000. So yep. I'm not entirely sure if that would have been called on the 88 because he was clear.
I mean, I don't think he would have been at fault. If there had been contact between him and the 17 that led to the wreck, absolutely. I think that probably would have been on him. But there was no contact made.
The 17 let off to make sure he didn't run into the back of him and give a bad bump. And the 000 really couldn't react in time.
Car in the wall. So, Craig Hagley, and he's going to get into Dante. Ricky and Dante's going around. This is going to be a corner wreck. This is going to be a big one. Caution's going to come out.
That's exactly what's going to save Grant.
Yes, it is.
It wasn't.
They're still wrecking further up. Jessica Shelton. Tom Dixon's going to get clipped right there. Ulysses Sandoval was in that. Milt Surratt.
My boy again.
Mike Mangialardi.
Oh, Jess kind of got a tail end of the 90 of Dante's wreck.
There is Grant Wesley.
She got some back end damage. She might be okay, but that back end's all messed up.
Grant Wesley, this is going to help him. Chuck McClure right behind him, the 17, and John Godfrey in the 7-11. This is going to help all three of those drivers. Wesley did the pass-through. McClure and Godfrey had the spin on the back straightaway, but remained on the tail end of the lead lap, and it was Tim Knopfsker who led us back here to this caution, and We're going to stay here. We'll go back. We'll look at the replay. We kind of caught it live there, but we'll go back at the replay. But we're going to stay here for this round of pit stops because this is probably going to be the money stop. This will probably be the last time outside of damage repair that we'll see any driver on pit road because we have now crossed over the fuel window to be able to make it the rest of the way. Tom Dixon, Richard Martin are going to be the lucky dogs. Those two started this race from the same row, row 12, I do believe, on the grid. And they will both get the free pass here under this yellow. Milt Surratt in the 80 car. Looks like he's done for the night. He might have had a engine let go on him under pacing here. Engine camshaft is what my scoring is showing me. It looked like he drove away from the incident over in 3 and 4 cleanly. We'll double check back on there on the replay, see if maybe there was heavier impact than I originally thought there was. Fuel only for Tim Nofsker. We'll go to the pit lane camera, watch the battle off of pit road here.
You're a pit lane camera.
There's Jerem Lewis has that number 1 pit stall. Chris Emery, his teammate, right behind him. Here they come off pit lane. It's going to be close between Bernie Mobbs and Tim Nofsker. I think Mobbs is going to get it. It's going to be really close between those two. Bernie Mobbs qualified 11th. Tim Nofsker 21st. And we've got a wreck back there in the middle of pit road. There's a car in the grass. I see Dave Melson. Is that Glenn Harris, I think, there? Yep. A couple of other drivers I think were slowed up in the middle of pit lane. And it looks like scoring is indeed giving it to the 31 of Bernie Mobbs. He'll more than likely be the one that will lead us back to green on the upcoming restart. Let's go back to turn 3. Going into turn 3 on the back straightaway. We saw the contact. Doug Hulick went up and into the wall, came back down into Dante Ricky. We're going to bring it back all the way to the middle of 1 and 2. Watch the red and black number 23 on the outside line. He's behind Josh Metallic. I think we had some stack up here. Dante. Oh, right there. Yeah, maybe a little bumper grab, maybe an uneven bump. Hulick's trying to save it. He comes down, gets Dante. Shelton gets spun by Paglia. There's Mangialardi hard into the wall, nose first. Cy Jones collected as well. And we'll look a little bit further up there at Shelton, who got hit from behind by Mark Paglia. Oh, Brian Rawson was involved in this. And then here comes Tom Dixon. He's just barely going to get clipped in the right rear. Now there's the 80 of Milt Surratt, and it looks like that car... Yeah, it's still under power at this point in time. Let's see what happens maybe when he upshifts. Right there, he shifts up to 3rd gear. Everything's good there. Let's see if he shifts up to 4th gear, if maybe that's where the engine lets go, or maybe it's when he starts slowing down for pacing. Takes the caution right here. Oh, and then right there. Oh. Looked like for a brief moment, it went down to 2nd gear. He might have accidentally downshifted and it grenaded the engine. And tough break there for the Tide ride, as Milt Surratt is going to join Wiley Coate, and now it looks like Bob Dixon back in the garage area. Bob Dixon with an engine piston problem, and let's see if we can find out where that occurs. That's on the same lap that Milt Surratt has his problem. This is going into turn 3. And right here, right there, you see the smoke pouring out from underneath the STP Dodge, and a couple of engine failures on the same lap. Going to put Dixon and Surratt back behind the wall, joining Wiley Coat.
That was just that big wreck overall. Got Breedlove in the lead right now, at least till he comes down pit road, and then we might see. We'll see who comes around as leader. Oh no, did the 24 come in late or? Oh, I know what happened. I don't see the 24 scheme because I put his in before I just completely got rid of my cars file to download yours, so I had all the
Oh.
schemes for it, so it didn't. Okay, that's all what happens now.
So Breedlove, this is interesting because Breedlove, he didn't pit. And Bernie Mobs, who will restart second, did. The only thing I can think of here is Breedlove's counting on more cautions and more pacing laps to save, but he's the only driver right now that I've got on the list that will not be able to make it the rest of the way. Unless he gets a lot of help with cautions. Bernie Mobs, though, on back, they should all be good to go, provided they filled up the fuel tanks there. Mobs won the battle off pit road. Close photo finish between him and Tim Nofsker. Nofsker will line up in third place. Joe DeSpirito in fourth. Jerm Lewis started on the pole. He's been up in the top 10 all night long, looking for back-to-back wins with his Blue Angels teammate Chris Emery from last week. He'll be fifth. Donnie Garrett. He's played a lot of pit strategy, especially in the early going of this one. He's now up in sixth. Rodney Sullins looking for another solid run after a top 5 performance last week at BSR. He's in seventh. Greg Palmer alongside of him in the 8th position, and then Chris Emery, last week's winner, is in ninth, and Jeff Crivello, how about the Quaker State car up here? Going to restart inside of the top 10 in that 10th position with Tom Dixon, Richard Martin going around getting lucky dog. All 37 remaining cars will be on the lead lap when we go back green. And that green flag is going to fly with 15 laps remaining. Take it a little further back outside of the top 10. Josh Metallic, he'll be 11th on this restart. Denny Carroll up to 12th. Jeremy Jeffries, the defending champion, 13th. Brian Schilling, 14th. Doug Kulik in the 15th position. Then Brian Rawson, Terry Bombard, Randy Waugh, Ulysses Sandoval, and Ron Hagelin. That is the
You
top
didn't
20.
give me my pause.
I didn't, and I apologize.
Sad.
Green flag back in the air. Robert Breedlove short on fuel and right now the race leader. If he remains the race leader, I don't see how he's going to be able to save enough to get to the end. He's hoping for a couple of cautions here, and he's going to have to hold on to the race lead as well. And oh no, oh, Tim Nofsker, Bernie Mobs get together. The back straightaway is littered. We got Terry Bombard up and over. Chuck McClure, Billy Ellis are involved.
What happened there?
A lot of movement. I'm not exactly 100% sure where the initial contact began, but there was a lot of movement going on there. And the contact was between the 088 and the 31, and now a lot of drivers have got some pretty bad damage as Breedlove wins the battle back.
It's just becoming people who think they're clear, but they're not.
Terry Bombard still continuing on. He went for quite a ride there down the back straightaway, but
let's see.
This Aero 88 damage model is so difficult to tell whether a car's got like a lot of damage or
hold
not.
on. Well, let's see. There was a little bit, probably. I don't want to say bumper grab, but right there, the 616 came up as the 31 was coming down, barely clipped the back bumper, sent him down into the 088.
Go back
just
and
fighting
take a look
over
at
it
here.
It's more about pinching again, either pinching or just the way they were coming through the corner. But
remember how one season ago, beginning of the year, when this car came out, where we were talking about, you know, drivers a little nervous of what they could do with these Aero 88 machines, and they were given a lot of room from side to side, and front to back. These drivers, they've started getting very comfortable with these cars now. To your point, not giving a whole lot of room right there. Jeff Crivello, who we were focused on there for that replay, out of the race. That's a tough break. He restarted in 10th. I mean, this was a wreck that was literally up inside of the top 5. Let's go to an aerial view. And you see right there, yep, Jerm Lewis pushing up off of 2. Bernie Mobbs coming down. Bernie he lost momentum, but he was able to keep his car straight. I think he crossed the start-finish line somewhere around the 11th position. So that didn't hurt him nearly as bad as it hurt a bunch of other drivers. Joe DeSpirito took a pretty good shot. Let's try and see who it was that got the 10 of Terry Bombard. I think it might have been... I thought it might have been Billy Ellis, or maybe it was Bobby Farrell. I couldn't tell there with that camera shot. Let's see if we're focused on the 10 of Terry Bombard, if we can figure out who it was that hit him. He had Randy Waugh. I give him the pause and he doesn't take it. He had Randy Waugh behind him. And I think maybe it might have been Billy Elliser. But Bomber was already into the back of somebody there. It was either DeSpirito. Oh, is that John Godfrey getting a late hit? Chuck McClure, Greg Palmer, Mike Mangialardi all in that. Let's find the 17 of Chuck McClure.
Well, while you're looking at this big
McClure
old wreck down the back straightaway, Mr. Seth, I'm going to go to the little commentator's room.
Okay. McClure went for a wild ride here as well, right there. Gets a hit from Mangialardi. There's Greg Palmer on the right side of your screen. He restarted. I think it was 8th on that last restart. A lot of drivers that were up at the front collected up in this one. Working our 5th yellow flag of the night here. And we will get our upcoming restart with less than 10 to go. This next time by will be at 11 laps remaining. And this is the caution that Robert Breedlove wanted to see. He wants to see a couple more here, as he's playing a very dangerous fuel game. Still don't think, even with this yellow, that he'd be able to make it the rest of the way, but then again, you never know. Ask Rodney why his car is painted up like Dale Sr. Probably thousands of Dale Seniors and Junior memorabilia. For years we'd go to dig with friends. One time had to order 38 tickets. Is that why he's the number 38? I know probably it's the 38 because the 3 for Dale and the 8 for Dale Jr., but it's kind of ironic that his car number is 38 and you ordered 38 tickets. Ken Roberts came down one time to the house, grilled a bunch of burgers and stuff. Nice. Yeah, I've yet to meet anybody from the RTG side in terms of drivers. There's a lot of friends that I've raced with online for years that I've had the opportunity to meet up with, Michael being one of them. Good buddy of ours. Oh, he's back. Good buddy of ours, Anthony McCrory, Nick Gunther.
Went to his wedding last year.
We went to Nick's wedding last year?
Yes. No, we went to Anthony's wedding last year.
Went to Anthony's wedding last year. Carson Gum, even though he doesn't do a lot of online racing anymore, but... Huh?
But Nick wishes he could get married right now.
I don't. I don't want to get married right now.
But that's you, though. When was the last time we asked you about what you wanted? Exactly.
You asked me at a Taco Bell, and then I told you I didn't want anything. Bumby doing his best Dale Sr. at the 1997 Daytona 500 impression. Yes. Oh my gosh. So Al ordered 38 tickets at one time for a Talladega race. FedEx left them leaned up against the garage door. $5,000 worth of tickets. Man. Good thing those didn't get stolen. And the package said Talladega Speedway on it. Woo! JT hitting us with a DWism. Wreck don't have no alibi, because it was UGLY ugly. Alright. Let's get them lined up. Let's get back racing. 10-lap shootout to sort this thing out. Re-rack them since the top 10 has undergone quite the facelift after that last caution. Breedlove's still out in front. Jerm Lewis is now second. Donnie Garrett third. Chris Emery fourth. Rodney Sullivan's in fifth. Josh Metallic sixth. Jeremy Jeffries seventh. Doug Hulick will restart in eighth. Brian Rawson, Brian Schilling will be the top 10. Bernie Moms, as mentioned, he was able to keep it going. Lost momentum, lost some spots, but he'll restart now back in 11th. Mark Paglia in 12th. Grant Wesley now up to 13th. Remember back, Grant ended up serving a pass-through penalty to make sure he didn't get a post-race penalty. Caught a yellow, still remained on the tail end lead lap, so he's trying to break back up into the top 10 after leading the most laps here tonight. Billy Elliser in 14th. Joe DeSpirito, who was in that last wreck, will restart 15th. Ron Hagelin, who clobbered Bob Dixon back for our second caution of the evening, still up here inside of the top 20 in 16th. Dante Ricky 17th. Ulysses Sandoval, Randy Waugh. Michael, you're 0 for 2 when I left you the gap now.
0 for 2.
0 for 2. I just said Randy Waugh, left you longest pause of the universe, and you still didn't say it.
You know what? It's not fair because I'm not used to it.
I've gotten you out of the groove. I threw off your groove.
Not throws you out the window.
Sorry. All right, so Randy Waugh.
Wow, that's the third. The third Emperor's New
He
Groove
still didn't do it. Okay, Randy Waugh's in 19th and Dave Melson's in 20th.
Luigi.
Dial-up internet at its finest.
I'm just Internet Explorer.
Green flag back in the air.
10 laps to go.
Breedlove with a good jump there. Like Jerm Lewis might have been a little bit late shifting up to second gear. Oh, and he just blinked out for a moment there also. That's going to stifle out that outside line.
He's going too. I wonder how long they'll let him stay right there.
Donnie Garrett and Breedlove immediately jump up to that middle line. They don't even wait until the exit of turn 2. Rodney Sullivan's now going to lead the inside line there, and the Blue Angel's going to go 3 wide. Chris Emery!
Keep it in the wall. Keep it in the wall. Okay, he's good.
He's still pointed the right way. A couple of cars had to dart down there below the yellow line, but that was avoiding a wreck. There won't be any penalty on that.
Bob Seminara, apparently on this last restart, lost both second and third gear.
Oh, man. Seminara was last time by scored in 27th. Is he still in the lead pack?
Only going 120 miles an hour right now.
Oh, boy.
He's just coming out of 4.
Oh, yep, there he is.
There's got to be a minimum. Oh, third and fourth.
I was going to say, if he's going 120, he has to have lost 4th.
He lost. It's got to be a minimum speed.
Well, they will definitely catch him before this race is over unless we get a yellow flag here. He's just hoping maybe for a little bit of a race of attrition here in the closing stages. Maybe pick up a spot or two if some drivers hit some misfortune. As Donnie Garrett making a look there on Breedlove.
It's going to open up that outside line.
Jerm Lewis, Doug Hulick, Brian Schilling up there.
Oh, he should have went up to Block.
Look at the run that Mattau's got in the bottom here, too. Donnie sees it coming.
Apron.
Breedlove clear to block him there. That was close.
He didn't block him. He held his line. It was just the apron. I was waiting for him to come up.
Well, I thought for a moment Garrett was actually to Breedlove's left rear quarter panel before he went down on the apron.
Oh, he was, but then he got on the apron.
Jerm Lewis sees the outside line coming with Brian Schilling. He's got Hulick as his drafting partner for the time being.
Comes the outside lane again.
Mark Paglia, Grant Wesley up there as well. How about Billy Elliser having a great night in that Quaker Steak machine? There's Seminara going to pit road.
Quaker Steak?
Quaker Steak and Shake.
I don't know about you.
Side by side to the line. Jerm Lewis going to lead that lap over Brian Schilling, but Schilling's got the preferred lane through 1 and 2.
Death, we're coming up on that a point of no return.
But here's the thing. Jerm pushes up off of 2 again. All drivers running, Michael, at this point in time. Well, with Seminaire coming to pit road, maybe not now. I was going to say all drivers are on the lead lap. We're 4. We are 4.
The 712 is 1 lap down.
We're 4 wide here, going into 3.
And
there goes Paglia! This is going to be a huge one! Oh my gosh! Sandoval into the air for the second time in 3 weeks, and everybody pretty much is involved in this one.
I can't help but laugh at that comment, because I just every time I see Ulysses wreck, I just think, oh, that's Team Wrecking Ball.
And he is upside down. Hewlick is smoking. Sullen's involved.
Right, so when the caution came out, there was nobody lap down because the 712 came into pit road and retired. From the race.
Well, I think even if we had a car lap down at the timing of that yellow, we're still going back green.
We are, and I believe it's going to be a green-white checkered.
Oh,
if the amount of caution, it's either going to be 3 to go or 2 to go.
So we've had a little bit of everything tonight. 2 cautions ago, it was a wreck in the corner. The last wreck, it was a wreck up inside of the top 5. This one was a combination of both. A wreck inside of the top 5 and in the corner. That's why it had those catastrophic results. Brian Schilling won the battle back to the start-finish line, I should say, over Chuck McClure, Josh Metallic, Grant Wesley, and Ron Hagelin is somehow up inside of the top 5. I don't know how that car is still up to speed. The power of Coca-Cola, I guess. But we've got a lot of replays to show here. It all starts with Mark Paglia, who was second going into turn 3. And he's going to get tagged by Robert Breedlove in the 931. Going to be interesting to see what the call is on that, because Breedlove moves up the track a little bit, but Paglia also comes down, and he's not clear. There's Jerm Lewis up and over. Craig Hagley goes for a grip flip there. Up the banking. And Robert Breedlove, Ulysses Sandoval, both went up and above the catch fence. I think Ulysses, after tonight, he's not going to want to see Talladega for a while. Last time we were here at Dega, same corner, 3 and 4, he went up above the catch fence.
I don't think he's alive anymore after this. He lost both his arms. I think he just lost both his legs.
Both his legs there on that one. Doug Hewlick with a barrel roll. He's probably done for the night. Jessica Shelton, Billy Ellis. I don't know why I'm naming off drivers that were involved in the wreck. We'll just keep playing these replays. See if your favorite driver made it through. It'd be a lot easier to go through and name off the drivers that weren't involved in the wreck. And as we watch this, I'm also going to try and see if there may be any driver we can go on board with that was able to make it through this. I'd be shocked if there was any driver that was able to, but there might have been. Bobby Farrell went up into the catch fence. And then they continued to wreck there with drivers making their way through. Dave Melson. I think we've got a driver that got through that wreck. I think. The 31 of Bernie Mobs might have actually gotten through this whole thing. Let's see if indeed that is the case. Going on board with the Citgo car.
This is gonna be interesting. JT Mayhew says, my leg!
Now Bernie Mobs crawled through that wreck. But he saw it happening in front. You heard him immediately bail out of the throttle. Snaked his way through, and Bernie Mobs, who was 27th the lap prior, picked up 13 spots up to 14th place for this upcoming final restart, which I'm not certain how many laps we're going to have. Maybe a green-white checkered. We may get 3 laps in. We'll have to see.
I think it's going to be 2 to go.
You think it's going to be a green-white checker?
Yeah, it's going to be green because the lights are still on.
Okay. Well, update on the drivers involved. Doug Hewlick out of the race. Jerm Lewis as well. Hewlick right now scored 33rd. Jerm Lewis 34th. Ulysses Sandoval, his car was on its roof, so he had to call for a tow. If that thing is able to still run, he could pick up a couple of spots and move up to 33rd, but still waiting for that tow to complete to see if that engine is even still fixable. Right now, he is being scored 2 laps down in 35th place. So based off our scoring right now, you got to go all the way back to 13th to find one of our 2 previous winners on the season. That would be Chris Emery. Jeremy Jeffries, all the way back, scored in 27th. So odds are very much in favor of us going 3 for 3 in a different driver going to victory lane here tonight. Brian Schilling, going to be the one that will get us back underway. Chuck McClure, Josh Metallic, Grant Wesley, Ron Hagel will be the top 5. Dante Ricky up in 6th. John Godfrey in 7th. Greg Palmer, Tim Nofsker, and Glenn Harris, the top 10. Now you look at a lot of these drivers up here inside of the top 10. A lot of them have mounted some comebacks after some adversity in this race. We saw Grant Wesley do that pass through. Ron Hagelin had the contact with Bob Dixon on the back straightaway. Dante Ricky was involved in a wreck over in turn 3. Godfrey was involved in that spin along with Chuck McClure. They're both up here in the top 10 now. McClure in the top 5 after they got together off of turn 2 on the back straightaway, and it didn't bring out a yellow. Glenn Harris, he was involved in an incident on pit road. So a lot of drivers have mounted some comebacks here. And how about Cy Jones up in the 11th spot? Good run for the Sunoco machine. New car for him here tonight. Painted by Rodney Sellens. And giving it a good look here just outside of the top 10 with Denny Carroll on the outside of row number 6. Well, we got an opportunity here. Want to shout out all the great sponsors that help you folks be able to see coverage of this series on FRN. Ultimate Garage Floors, the Dixon Brothers, Sullen's Paint Designs, RLM Arena, 260 Motorsports. A lot of great partners allowing you folks to be able to see the action every Thursday night and next week. These drivers are back at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway for race number 4, the midway portion of the regular season. And mentioned this at the top of the broadcast. At the conclusion of tonight, the bracket series is put together. The drivers will be seated according to their positioning in the point standings. And the bracket challenge for season 62 begins next week. Robert Breedlove has retired out of the race in his first start of the season. Led 12 laps. A bunch of them here towards the closing stages. Was trying to play the fuel game. He'll finish 32nd place here tonight. Slike the 096 still sits on pit road. So of the cars that are out on the racetrack right now, 31 in total, all 31 on the lead lap. And you were correct, Michael, green, white, checkered to sell this thing out. So we'll give that usual disclaimer that we always do when we get to the point of no return. If trouble breaks out, we'll go back and we'll look at it.
We'll break in.
We'll break in. We're not MRN. But we will go back. We'll look at any subsequent replays either after the race is concluded or under a pace of that. More than likely, in this case, it would be after the race is over.
Unless the game crashes again.
Oh, please, no. But we'll stay up here at the front and watch the battle back to either the caution or the checkered flag, whichever the case may be. Maybe both if they get to the white. Green flag, ready to fly. 2 laps to go here at Talladega.
Which line's going to move, Seth? We know how Grant is when it comes to wanting to get the lead.
He got 2 good restarters and 2 good pushers in both lanes.
Hagelin's been involved in a couple wrecks. I'm surprised to see him kind of up to speed. Billing's going to go to the outside immediately, going to leave Metallic on the inside.
When does that 3rd lane form is going to be the big question,
yeah,
and who's going to be the one to step out.
I don't necessarily think the 111 is up to much speed right now.
Dante crosses down to the inside of Grant Wesley looking for 3rd.
That might have been a bad move. I don't believe that 111's up to speed, so the inside has no help.
We saw Dante pick up a victory in a part-time capacity last season. 3, almost 4 wide back there, middle of the
White
pack through the
flag.
tri-oval. And here we go, white flag in the air. All bets are off. Schilling, McClure, Wesley, Palmer, and Harris now the top 5. That move, as you mentioned, it did not work out for Dante Ricky. He's now back side by side for 7th with Josh Metallic. How long do you wait? Wesley shades inside on McClure. McClure moves down to cover. Schilling does the same. Lane open on the bottom if anybody wants it. Wesley looking like he wants to take it there. Palmer jumps to the outside of Wesley. He'll be side by side for 3rd place. Looks like Schilling may be pretty committed here to Brian Schilling. McClure, that is, to Brian Schilling. And Brian Schilling.
To Schilling.
Oh, he's committed to Schilling, all right. And Brian Schilling going to pick up the victory here tonight. 3rd different winner on the season. 2nd former champion to go to victory lane here in season 62. And Brian Schilling, who came into this race 3rd in overall points, 6 points out of the points lead, will lock himself into the playoffs via win. And more than likely, well, we'll have to see how the points are calculated here. I think there's bonus points for winning. It may be close between him and Grant Wesley for who's heading into next week as the points leader.
And Ulysses Sandoval stayed on pit road the whole time.
Yeah, I don't think they were able to fix that engine.
Absolutely not. Well, Seth, you got questions tonight. That is for sure, as Rodney Sullivan spins it coming down pit road on the cooldown lap.
Brian Schilling in that Ernie Irvin throwback. I believe it's Ernie Irvin. Could be Sterling Marlin.
Serving. Jeremy Jeffries goes for a spin in the tri-oval, backs it into the wall.
Oh, here we go. I remember this. Brian Schilling, in his previous victories, goes for that long burnout all the way through the tri-oval, starting from pit lane entry. Let's see if he can make it here.
Oh, he's turning too much. He's got to let it go.
No, he's good. Oh, Brian, come on. Throw her back in neutral. Nope. I think he's given up. We're just gonna spin it in the grass here, right over the RTG logo.
And Seth, you got questions?
So we'll be talking with Brian Schilling here in just a moment. There you go. Park it right on the RTG logo. Perfect. Look at that. And now he'll resume the burnout. Chuck McClure, Grant Wesley, the completion of the podium. We'll be talking with all 3 of those drivers. All 3 of them came into this race top 5 in points as well. So they'll all be heading into next week in good positioning. Obviously, Schilling locking himself in with a victory. Now he just has to stay in the top 20 in the point standings for the next 5 races.
By the way, Ulysses wrote in our chat, he said, "Forget it, Michael. I'm Ulysses No Limbs Sandoval."
No limbs. He was No Arms Sandoval. Now he's No Limbs Sandoval. Man, you go from poppy to sexy to no arms to no limbs.
That was such a downward spiral.
That is. Well, you know that when we come back here in 2 weeks, one of our storylines is going to be, will the 096 finish the race with all 4 tires still on the ground? Oh, Brian Schilling. You can always tell by the length of the burnouts the amount of relief that a driver has when they pick up a checkered flag. I mean, we hear it all the time. Doesn't matter what your level of experience is with superspeedway racing. Everybody says these races are so hard to win. And so when you're finally able to do so, it does take quite a load off your shoulders for the remainder of the regular season. And I think we'll probably hear the same thing here tonight from the driver that'll be down in victory lane. The driver, that number 4, Brian Schilling. Let's take a look at the final finishing results here. We gave you the podium finishers that we'll be talking with in just a moment. Greg Palmer brings it home in 4th. Great follow-up finish there for Chris Emery after his victory last week. Brings home top 5 and 5th. Glenn Harris, great run for him in 6th. John Godfrey Great run for him. Again, great to see him back on the track, and he brings it home in 7th place. Dante Ricky in 8th. Denny Carroll in ninth. Josh Metallic going to complete the top 10. Ron Hagelin, man, that thing, I don't know, that whatever that car was made of, it was strong because he took a big hit on the back straightaway and still managed to bring it home in 11th. Look at all those ones in a row, 5 ones in a row. Tim Knopfsker in 12th. Bernie Mobbs, who was out in front for a good portion of this race, led 12 laps. He'll finish in 13th. Richard Martin, who was caught in the catch fence, folks, still finishes on the lead lap in 14th. And Donnie Garrett will finish out the night in 15th place. Top 20 completed by Randy Waugh, Terry Bombard,
Go
Cy
AJ.
Jones. The one time that I'm thinking you're not going to say, and you do say it. Cy Jones and Jeremy Jeffries, 18th, 19th. Rodney Selwyn's finished in 20th. Then Despirito, Shelton, Melson, Dixon, Mangialardi, the top 25. We had 31 drivers finish on the lead lap. Theoretically, had 9 drivers finish out of the race. And we talked about it at the beginning of the night. With only 2 races in the books prior to the green flag flying, a lot of points were up for grabs with a 40-car field. Points were still close together. Going to be a lot of moving and shaking in the point stands. Going to be very interesting to keep an eye around that cut line of 12th in points, see who is above the cut line, who isn't, as we still got more than half of the regular season left to run. All right, as we head into our FRN post-race wind down, let's see if we can talk with the driver that brings us home in the 3rd position here tonight. Let's dial up Grant Wesley.
User was moved
Hey,
to
Grant's
your
Michael and
channel.
Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, great run for you last week. Puts you up tied for the points lead coming into tonight. We saw a little bit of a comeback you had to mount there after serving a pass through under green, caught the caution, worked your way back up, and in the conversation for this win. I know I asked you the same question last week when you were in a somewhat similar position about how long do you wait to make the move. We saw you shade high, saw you shade low. Both the cars in front of you went to cover both of those areas. Were you just testing the waters, or was there anything that you could have done to be able to get around, if not won, both of them?
No, that wreck with 6 to go, where we were 4 wide. I got sandwiched into the wall. Frankly, I was lucky to make it through that one, but at one point, I'm pretty sure I had 4 tires off the ground, so I definitely got heavy side damage in that wreck. There on the last lap, I was testing the waters is exactly what I was doing. I was seeing if I could develop a run, if I didn't know how bad the damage was, and every time I'd poke the nose out, I mean, Palmer was pushing. I had the help to make it work, but the car just wouldn't go. So, Palmer, he tried to get around me on the outside there through the tri-oval. I just kind of ran him a little wide and was able to hang on to a third. But yeah, not a bad rebound considering, I did a drive through with about 20 to go or 19 to go, I think it was. Off that restart, I moved up in front of Chuck. I thought I was clear, and I was clear, but I just created that checkup on the exit of the corner when I moved up. So, there was a pretty good chance that was going to get put on me. I didn't want to have that come post race. I just went ahead and served it.
We've seen some pretty violent wrecks here in these first 3 races of the season. I remember back to last season when the playoffs began and everything, it really came down to pit road and a lot of long green flag runs. Do you think the fact that we're seeing a lot of this aggressive racing here in these first few races of the season is not only the fact that we're getting some pretty big fields and a lot of points on the table, but also a lot of drivers realizing that, good finishes are really important into advancing into the playoffs, and then maybe things will start settling down once this playoff grid is put together?
It's kind of funny. Last season, I know this was a new mod for everybody, but I know there was a lot of wrecks early in last season. Maybe it was more than just being a new mod. Maybe it was, yeah, everyone knows it's important to get good finishes. And once you get beat up a little bit, you kind of take a few hits on the chin, then you kind of just, you kind of pipe it down a little bit. But yeah, just there's some jitters. We got some jitters out there, and um, I'm sure we'll calm down come end of the season.
Yeah, Michael and I, we were talking about beginning of last season. You guys maybe a little uncomfortable getting used to these cars, and now maybe one season removed, maybe a little too comfortable with what you're able to do with these race cars. But Grant, another great performance for you here tonight. I think I'm waiting for the points to update here. You're either going to maybe be in another tie with Brian for the points lead or the overall points leader heading into next week. Obviously, the consistency is there. I know you want to get locked in with a victory maybe next week, but great start to your season here. Third place performance here tonight at Talladega. And as you mentioned, with that damage there that hindered you maybe a little bit, still able to bring it home on the podium. We'll give you the opportunity here now for some thank you sponsors and shout outs.
Yeah, we got another podium, so that's a win in my book. Hopefully we can keep knocking these out. But yeah, congratulations to Brian Schilling on the win. And then I'm also glad to see Chuck McClure rebound, after our little incident there. So uh, good job to those guys. I'd like to thank the owners here, David Cannon, Sean Prime, the admins, Josh, Wiley, and Tim. FRN, thanks for taking the time out to broadcast for us. Mike and Seth, you guys are awesome. Like to thank just everyone that's ever helped out and donated here. My teammates with XFM, my friends and family for watching, and my girlfriend Brittany.
Grant Wesley, back-to-back top fives here in the last 2 weeks. He is still your points leader heading into next week. He'll look to maybe lock himself in via a victory, but he'll obviously look to keep that consistency going, and he'll be the number one seed when the bracket is put together next week as well. So congratulations on that, Grant, and best of luck when we head to BSR next week.
Hey, thanks, guys.
See if we
User was
can now
moved
get
out
a
of your
hold of our
channel.
second place finisher here this evening. Driver number 17, Chuck McClure.
User was moved to
Hey,
your
Chuck,
channel.
Michael and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Hey guys.
Well, it seemed like we could look at everybody inside of the top 10 on that last restart, and every single one of you had to come back from something. You had that spin on the back straightaway off of 2. No caution came out. You caught the yellow you needed to stay on the lead lap and fought your way back up there to the front. Now, I know a couple of those wrecks helped you to be able to get up there, but, I mean, when you have something like that happen, especially when there's a wreck and the caution doesn't come out for it, how difficult is it to keep your head in the game, realize how many laps there still are, there's still a chance to be able to get back into this thing?
Yeah, it was extremely frustrating. I'll tell you that. Running by yourself, watching them tick down to catch you, you just think there's no hope. But I got lucky, and caution came out.
Great start to your season. You came into this race top 5 in overall points. You're heading into next week top 5 in overall points. But let's talk about that final run there to the checkers, because it looked like more you were playing defense against the cars behind you rather than offense to Brian. So were you committed to the 4 at that point in time?
Yeah, I've pushed him before. He's pushed me. We worked good together. It's like I got you. No matter if we finished, yeah, if they all would have passed us, it was good. That's how you become a good teammate and keep one, is to stay with them, and that's what we do very well together.
Obviously, we saw you being able to work your way to the front not once but twice, obviously towards the close of this race, but also saw you involved in a caution early, able to work your way back up into the top 5 before you had that hardship off of turn number 2. We saw here tonight, we've seen in the first few races of the season, it seems like you guys have gotten very comfortable now with this Aero 88 car, a lot more double wide, 3 wide racing and whatnot. Are you feeling that level of aggression kind of ramping up here, and what do you think is contributing to it? Because there's a couple of factors that I've talked about, not only the comfort with this car now having a full season, but also with it being early on in the year, a lot of opportunity for a good finish to gain you multiple spots in the point standings. Obviously, a win locks you into the playoffs, so a lot on the line. What do you attribute the aggressive racing that we've seen here, especially in the early going, to mostly?
Well, it might sound weird to say this, but even this early in the season, there is some desperation because, maybe some guys can't be here a week or two, and maybe they're way down in the points, and frustration leads to desperation, leads to poor finishes. So if you just maybe keep your calm head about yourself and, take what you can get, it'll come to you.
Now, I remember a big talking point that we had last year, especially towards the close of the season, because we saw so much of the outcome of a race having pit road play a big part. Now, we haven't seen pit road play as much of a part here at the beginning of the season, but we have seen in terms of track position, having you in a spot to either avoid a big wreck or maybe be right in the middle of it. The random qualifying draw, how much is that playing into these first few races here?
That makes it frustrating and fun at the same time. It's very challenging to start in the back of these things, and You think you got a good run on the outside or inside, and next thing you know, people are catching on to what you're doing and pulling in front of you. Then it goes away. You gotta keep moving and hope the guys in front of you will work with you and not against you.
Well, Chuck, a great run for you here tonight. Another solid outing. Still up there in the point standings as well. Obviously, as we mentioned, the fact that the bracket challenge starts next week, so it looks like you're going to be the number 4 seed heading into that one. Obviously, making steps towards getting that number 17 to victory lane. We heard from you here tonight. You were committed to the 4, but maybe next week you get that one position better, solidify yourself via win into the upcoming playoffs. Congrats on the great performance here tonight, the good comeback as well. Before I let you go, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
I appreciate it. First off, Race LM, the sponsor on the car. None of us can do this without Race LM. They make everything possible. Rodney for the paint. It looks awesome as always. Um, all the admins here, Prime, Bones, Josh, Tim, everybody that helps and you know helps Josh run things. My teammate Brian, congratulations to him. Tim and Oscar run good. I think Mark had a little trouble tonight, but um, yeah, I appreciate you guys. It's going to be fun to watch this. I promise you, I'll be watching it tomorrow. Um, and just glad to be here.
Chuck McClure, a great run here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. He'll look to carry on this momentum to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway next Thursday night. Congratulations on the great run here tonight. Best of luck on the continuation here on the regular season, heading towards the playoffs.
Appreciate it.
User was
Chuck
moved
McClure
out
going to
of
be
your channel.
fourth in overall points heading into next week, 13 points out of the points lead. The next driver down in victory lane, he is second in points behind Grant Wesley, only 2 points back, but he knows he's locked into the playoffs with his victory this evening. Let's see if we can dial up tonight's race winner, Brian Schilling.
User was
Hey,
moved
Brian,
to
it's
your
Michael and Seth
channel.
up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yeah, what's going on?
Well, man, I'll tell you what, I don't think we mentioned your name a lot tonight, and that might be a good thing with all the violent wrecks we saw. You were able to keep your nose clean, get up there to the front when it mattered the most in the closing stages here tonight. First off, how were you able to do it? I know you had good starting track position in 4th place, but it seemed like everybody at a time was back in the eye of the storm.
Oh, I was definitely it was tough. If I didn't have the 17 and the one helping me for a lot of that race and even the 28, I probably would have been in, been in one if not more.
Now, obviously, a lot of regular season still to go, but we heard just moments ago from Chuck McClure saying that he could kind of feel a sense of desperation for drivers out there. How much of a sense of desperation were you feeling coming in? I know, obviously, you've had a good start to the season. You were up there in the point standings, but a win makes everything better, right? Then you're locked in to go playoff racing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean that's for sure. I just kind of approach it the same way as I do every week. You know, put myself at least in the top 10. Things, can happen. Good or bad, but if at least I put myself in a position to win, uh, good things can happen, and if I can't, at least get what I can get.
So now you've got the victory. Now you know you're locked into the postseason. With the victory here tonight, you're only 2 points out of the points lead. We've still got 5 races until we put the playoff grid together. So what is the main focus for you here now? Are you looking for more trips to victory lane and the bonus points that they garner? Or are you maybe looking more on the consistent route to take the overall points lead for the regular season and get those bonus points? Because obviously we know there's a payout either way.
Oh yeah, regular points I think is the ultimate goal, and the other goal is to repay the 17. Try to get him in a victory lane here, because without his help, I wasn't winning that race.
Well, a great performance for you here tonight. 3rd different winner on the season, locking yourself into the postseason as well. We'll let you get back to your celebrating in a moment. We really liked your lengthy burn out there all the way through the tri-oval, even if you took a little detour onto the RTG logo. But Brian, floor is yours for Victory Lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shoutouts.
Thank you, everybody that's put towards having these races broadcast. Thank you, Josh, Tim, Wiley, Jason, all your hard work. Bones, Prime, Jeremy, the day in, day out things behind the scenes. None of this happens without those guys. Also, Wiley. Sorry if I forgot his name. Also, thank you to Chuck. Would not have won that race without you. Jeremy, it was awesome working with you the first half of that race. And, Mark, thanks for your help there towards the end there. Sorry that didn't work out at all the way you'd like it to, but, keep your head up. It's, everybody has a bad race here or there. So, and thank you guys.
Well, Brian Schilling, he's your winner here tonight at Talladega Super Speedway. He'll look to keep the consistency going next week, as we heard, eyeing that regular season championship and maybe getting another win or two along the way, of course, as well. Going to be the number 2 seed for the Bracket Challenge when it kicks off next week at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. Congratulations on the victory here tonight, Brian. Go enjoy it, and we'll hopefully talk to you next week.
All right, thank you.
User
Brian
was
Schilling
moved
with the
out of your
victory here
channel.
tonight. 3 races in the books. We've had 2 former champions go to victory lane. Jeffrey's the defending champion, Schilling a former champion from season 57, and a first-time winner in Chris Emery. Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, second time we head to it this season next week. Michael, what else does this season have in store for us?
I don't know. Should be really interesting. And I can't wait to watch it unfold, too, because you never know what's going to happen in any of these races.
It's interesting when we talked with Chuck McClure, he said, we're only 3 races in already, starting to feel that sense of desperation for drivers. We'll see if that continues over into BSR next week. Obviously, as we mentioned, we saw a first-time winner go to victory lane last week. Can we see a Cinderella story again next week? You'll have to tune in and find out. Next Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are under the lights at Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway for race number 4 of season 62 of the RTG Talladega Challenge Series. And as we've already mentioned, the Bracket Challenge begins next week as well. The race within the race. Always fun for the drivers there. A lot of times we talk to them and say, we weren't necessarily focusing on our positioning on the racetrack if it was a top 5 or a top 10. We just want to make sure we were ahead of our Bracket Challenge competitor or contender for the night. A lot of drivers really have a lot of fun with that, so I hope you guys will join us for that one. Congratulations once again to Brian Schilling on the victory here tonight. Michael, another race in the books here in season 62. Another thrilling finish. We got some late race theatrics with a green-white checkered here tonight. I appreciate you up in the booth here tonight.
Absolutely, it was fun and can't wait to do it again.
Thanks to everybody for keeping us company in the chat here tonight and tuning in. We hope you guys enjoyed our coverage, and we'll see you guys next Thursday night as we continue on coverage of the 62nd season of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series. But for Michael Norman, I'm Seth Cole. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night, folks. We'll see you next week as you've been watching the broadcast courtesy of FRN, the Flatout Racing Network.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to